Hey everyone, it's podcast time, but this time we're changing it up. This podcast will be about King of Fighters 14. Now don't panic guys, and first off, Killey is with me, just Killey. No other guests. Just Killey. And don't panic guys, this doesn't mean we're abandoning Street Fighter 5 or it's going to be KOF Ride or Die now. It's just that, KOF 14 is, the new car, and it's something that we've been playing a lot lately, so let's talk about it on the podcast. Especially Killey wants to talk about KOF, because I know, Killey, you were kind of scared a little bit when the beta of KOF 14 came out, and there was like some...
Yeah, when the demo came out, there were some concerns.
Yeah, there were some concerns, and then the game came out, and it's actually good, so that's great. So this podcast is pretty much about kind of like an early review of the game and our thoughts on it, and... yeah, and we're going to be going over a bunch of things such as the features, the netcode, the gameplay, and if we got time, we'll talk about some other things. Now, there is a very small problem once again in this podcast where I'm going to be getting a phone call at a very mysterious time, some point in this podcast, and we may have to pause, or if you're talking, you can keep talking, and I'll, answer the call and get it over with. So, yeah. All right, Killey, are you ready to begin the podcast?
I am.
Okay, so... let's just start with the features of the game. So let's talk about the cast of King of Fighters 14. It's 50 characters, right?
Yep.
And this is including the 2 boss characters.
Correct.
That are supposedly ass. In terms of, like,
yeah,
the early
they
tier
don't
list.
seem too good.
Mm-hmm. So right off the box, like you only have to unlock 2 characters, and they're the 2 boss characters in the game. So you get 48 characters from the get-go. And then the boss characters are apparently not that good anyway, so you don't have to worry about them being like OP or anything. Because, KOF is known for like OP like boss characters. And the team format of the game is 3v3, so 50 characters does sound like a lot, but you do have to learn 3 characters in the game. So it's a lot different than like Street Fighter in that like aspect, because when you have like a dynamic team of characters, you gotta think of things like which character is a good battery, like which character should go first. The character that's like can gain the most meter for the other like group of your characters, or which character is the best with meters, so you can put them last, and then the middle character, your anchor, your point, that kind of thing. So that's pretty cool, man. It's a cool dynamic like. And what you were telling me before, Killey, that like when you start off, your first character doesn't have like all 5 meter like levels. Like how's it?
Yeah,
work?
so your stocks in this game, or your super meter, you start off with 3 for your first character. Your second character gets 4, and then your 5th character gets 5.
Okay.
And on top of that, your max mode length, or how long it lasts, grows as you get further down your order.
What?
So
know
like
that.
when you, so yeah, I only found out about it recently too. But like, in the options, like training options, you can actually adjust your maximum, and it goes like 1,000, 1,250, and 1,500, something like that.
Yeah.
It increments by 3, and it basically represents like, okay, this is how much max mode you have on your first character, your second character, and your third character, and actually your timer increases as you get farther down your order. So meter management and team order is very important in this game in comparison to 13.
Mm-hmm. Well, so does that mean like your anchor character, your last character, can do like much longer combos then?
Yes.
There's some like
So usually, like when you do, because when you activate maximum, and this is kind of derailing from our kind of order here, but when you activate your maximum, you get access to EX specials. But when you use your EX special, it depletes the maximum meter, right?
Yeah.
So usually within your first 2 characters, you most likely can get like 2 EX moves, depending on your character, right? Your third character is usually guaranteed 3 EX moves in one combo, right?
Okay.
At least from my experiences, I notice I have more time to combo like more EX moves.
Yeah, like when my
K-dash.
character's like on point when we were playing the other day, I did like when my activated max mode, I did 1 EX move like raw, and then like almost my entire meter was gone by that point.
Yeah.
Maybe because I canceled into max mode because that starts you off at half or something, right?
Yeah, yeah. See, it starts you off with less. So.
That's cool, man. Anything else you want to talk about with just like the roster itself?
The roster is pretty solid. There's actually quite a bit of new characters in this game. And it actually brings back some really like old characters that we haven't seen in the series in a long time, like Ramon and Angel, for example, right? Like we haven't seen those characters since 2002, KOF 2002. So that's pretty cool that they brought them back. I was really happy when I saw that in the reveal trailers that they did. And they mostly kept those characters intact, so that's cool. The new characters, some of them are pretty interesting. Like Hein is pretty cool. He has some pretty
Is that the
mix-ups and
butler
cool-
dude?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he has some cool stuff. Kukri or whatever, however you pronounce his name.
Darude?
The sand. Yeah, Darude Sandstorm. Yeah, he's got some like interesting stuff. Like his EX specials are really cool. Like he's got some interesting mix-ups. Who else is new? Oh yeah, bringing back Nakaruru for Otherworld, like the guest characters. That's awesome. Bringing back Geese. Like Geese is so fun in this
Dude,
game.
that
Like,
counter super is so dumb.
so nuts. But yeah, like just like the cast is really strong in this game. Like it's really cool how they brought back some old favorites, and the new characters are kind of interesting as well. Added new dynamic to the game.
I guess like, you know, some people in Street Fighter V have issues finding the character for them. You know, they're soul searching all the time, and I really don't think you can run into that issue in King of Fighters 14 because the roster is so massive. You know,
it's so massive and it caters to all different types of styles of play.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else about characters?
Nope.
All right, let's talk about the modes. So, like, what does the game come with right out of the box kind of thing?
It comes with your standard story mode or arcade mode, training mode, was a versus, and then the online modes are actually kind of robust too.
We got that party, man.
So yeah, you got online training, which I don't think SF5 still doesn't have.
Oh, I know, man. It's got trials,
so and
it's
then
got survival, it's got
oh yeah, trials
time
too,
attack,
yeah.
I think. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff.
Pretty robust. Tutorial mode, I think. Yeah, there's a tutorial mode.
Yeah. It's not the best, but it goes
No,
through all
it's
the
not.
features. It's your typical fun game tutorial. Let's backtrack a little bit back to the story mode. So the story mode, the way it works is it's not really like you play it and it goes through the story of all the characters in one thing, kind of like how Street Fighter V does it now and how Mortal Kombat series does it. So the way it works is you basically pick your 3 characters you want, and if the 3 characters you pick is part of a team, so every there's like a bunch of teams in King of Fighters 14, and they're all 3 characters. So like there's team like K-Dash, team Another World with Nakaruru, Mui Mui, and Love Heart, for example. If you pick those 3 characters, then they'll have their own like cutscenes that they have as a team. So there's actually quite a bit of cutscenes in the game because there's a lot of teams in the game, right? I don't know how many teams there are. There's like over 10 at least, right? So you'll get a bunch of things, and there's like hidden achievements in the game too, Killey, if you know about this, where if you pick a certain cast of 3 that have something related to each other, you get like hidden achievements and stuff, which is really cool. There's like one where like the 3 pachinko characters together. It's like Alice, Mui Mui, Love Heart or something.
Mui Mui, Love Heart, and Nakaru.
Yeah. No, not Nakaru, because she's like from Samurai Shodown. Like the pachinko characters. Like you pick 3 characters from different teams, and they have something in common with each other. Which is really cool.
Really?
Yeah. Like there's like over 10 different like hidden ones. But one is like pachinko characters. One is like old school or something, where you pick the 3 original like King of Fire characters. There's a bunch of them, man. There's a bunch of them.
Is there one for K-Dash Yurikyo?
I don't
Team
know.
Chan,
Team Tryhard.
Team Chan Ho Nam, Team
Team
Chan Ho
Chan on
Nam.
them. Edison Chan. There's a bunch. There's like over 10 of them. They're really cool. They were like hidden, but people like figured them out already, of course.
Oh man, that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah,
I didn't know
yeah.
that.
There's like yeah. Um, and then yeah, the online training mode. Oh my god, dude, Street Fighter 5 needs this so badly. It just allows you to learn things so fast. I don't think there's frame data out for King of Fighters 14 yet, but it's not a very frame data heavy game. There's a lot of like things you can do by eye in this game. Like meaties are very easy to time and things like that. But I still want to know the things you can punish. But the online training like accelerates that greatly. Like when you and me like I needed to test out some anti-airs. I'm like, does this anti-air? And we can go in online training mode and we could figure that out right away. You know, instead of sending the AI and going through some stupid scenario, right? Like, I really feel like Street Fighter 5 needs this. Like, it's such an important thing. And Street Fighter 4 has it too, which is funny, right? So I think that's like really important. And then in terms of the online features, you know, you have your typical lobbies. You could do ranked matches. There's placements in your ranked matches too. And there's the party mode, which is awesome. And you know me, right? Like, I love the idea of party mode in any fighting game. I think it's so fun. But King of Fighters is kind of built for it, you know, because you pick 3 characters and therefore the party mode allows you to go 3v3 and 6 players and each person controls a character, right? Uh-oh. Here it comes. We're going to pause it.
Okay.
Oh. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. So, I didn't lose my train of thought, though. I know I was talking about the party mode. So, with everyone controlling one character is really cool, but there's another cool thing about it, and that's you can set it to shuffle. And basically what that does is it makes it so your team of the 6 people playing, the order and who's on whose team is random every time you play, which is hilarious. Because, you know, if there's someone really good in particular, and then or you can have different teammates every time, and it really spices things up, and I think it's awesome. And I want something like that in Street Fighter 5. Badly. And thanks to us, because of some netcode issues, a lot of people are forced to play party mode.
Yeah.
And that's what like everyone plays, man. It's the shit, dude. I love it. And it's easy. It's great too because like, you know, I'm just learning KOF myself and just picking one character and sticking with it. It just allows me to learn the game faster rather than being overwhelmed with learning 3 characters at once, you know? So I don't know, it's awesome, man. In terms of what are we talking about? The trials. The trials are really disappointing. I'm gonna say that straight up.
Like I can't
They're
believe
disappointing. In terms of learning the game, they're fine. Like it teaches you a very quick combos for your character that are practical. That part is fine. But I feel like they could have easily squeezed in 5 more combos. The trial is 5 combos per character, and it could have easily been 10, because the first 5 it goes through like a format. It goes like normal into special, and then normal into special into super, and then max into special into super, and then special, super, super, and then finally normal, special, level 3. That's pretty much the formula for every character. And they could have done so much more because there are I wouldn't say more difficult, but longer combos for sure that you could have done. They could have put in there. And comparing to King of Fighters 13 is like, it's like night and day, man. It's insane. King of Fighters 13 to this day is still the hardest trials in any fighting game. Nothing comes close. Maybe BlazBlue, maybe, but that was like vanilla BlazBlue when that came out for the 360 and PS3. So, yeah, man. In terms of trials, it does help get you started on the character, but only the extreme basics. And if you're looking for a challenge that's like not challenging at all, I would say it would be the same maybe as Street Fighter 5 in terms of difficulty, just because even though Street Fighter 5 trials are really easy, and there's some weird cancel windows that you have to know in 14 that people might get stuck on. But yeah, I'd say they're pretty much the same. Definitely easier than Street Fighter 4 trials, for sure. And by the way, Kelly, I'm just gonna keep talking. So if there's something you want to say, just interrupt me, man. I'm gonna keep going over the modes. But
Okay.
In terms of survival mode and time trials, I haven't tried them out, but I'm sure the survival is, not as crazy as the Street Fighter 5, hopefully. I don't know if they have like a supplement system or anything, but, there's a ton of features to do right off the hop. And of course, you got your gallery and things like that. So it's pretty robust from the get-go.
Just to touch on the online modes a little bit more. So we went over online training. You went over rank. and you went over party mode. But there's also a free battle system, which is basically your player lobbies here. And those are also pretty robust because within the lobby, you can actually set rules. So within the lobby itself that you host or you join, there's 6 slots. So you could have 6 different matches going at the same time. And you can actually determine the rule set for each of those slots. So some could be like best of 1, some can have a rematch feature, some can be 1v1, some are 3v3, stuff like that, right? So I found that really interesting how the room itself can have different rules based on like what slots available. Or you can have all the slots be the same rules. You can have them all be rematch slots, you can have them be all 1v1s or whatever, however you want to do it. So I think that's pretty robust.
You know, in the lobbies in itself, you can actually type messages. Like, it's
Yeah,
not
you
just
can too.
predetermined
And
like
yeah, you
quotes.
can use your mic.
Yeah, you can use your mic, and you can actually type messages. And I like, it's been done to death, man. I've been asking this for Street Fighter 5 for like the longest time, man. We just want it to be like a community, right?
Yeah.
There's only so many times you can say greetings or good game, you know. Sometimes
Yeah.
you just want to talk shit. Yeah, but it's great, man, because it just allows players to communicate, and without, you know, using external sources, and they can communicate with each other. And if they want to go into the online training mode, they can learn together. If you want to run into somebody online, right, you don't exactly need an external source to do that. So I think that should be like mandatory in a fighting game,
And
especially.
you can invite directly from your friends list and your PlayStation Network friends
Yeah, you
list.
can invite straight from your PlayStation friends list, yeah, rather than the in-game fighter's ID, and you're jumping through a lot of hoops basically to find someone. There's so many things, man.
So, but you know, CFN, to be fair, because it's cross-play between PC and
Yes,
PS4, you can't really have it going through your PS4 friend list or your Steam list because
exactly.
there's no common ground. So,
There's definitely that, and you know, I'm not shitting on Street Fighter 5. It's just that Street Fighter 5 is like the new fighting game, and it's just I just want to compare it to Street Fighter 5 specifically. So
mhm.
yeah. What do you think about the music in the
Nice.
game?
Oh man, SNK music is always good, and it's
That
really
menu screen
cool.
theme, dude.
Oh
With Burn
yeah,
to
like the
Fight,
burn
man.
the
Oh my
fight,
god.
so good. They even have for the Ikari Warriors, so that's the Leona, Ralph, and Clark team. Um, they actually have a remix of the NES Ikari Warriors game
Oh really?
of the theme, right? So there's a NES game for with the Ikari Warriors, and the theme song for that has there's an actual remix
Mm-hmm.
within KOF 14. So I thought that was really sick.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And the background stages are great too. Are you still want to talk about the music?
no, no,
Like the background stages are pretty good. I like colorful stuff, of course. But
yeah,
the big thing I like about the background stages is that the NPCs actually look like people. And once again, I've been griping about Street Fighter 5 where the NPCs look like aliens. They look like fucking aliens or Play-Doh men. And it bugs me. And I understand it's an art direction because they want to make the Street Fighter characters pop out more, but it just bugs me. Like I like Tekken style or yeah, King of Fire style like background characters more.
like basically the background characters have more details in them to sort of match up with
A
the
lot more
characters on
details, yeah.
screen.
Yeah.
So while in SF5 they actually toned down the details in the background characters, so there's a disconnect
Looks like
between
Ape
your
Escape, man. Yeah.
yeah.
Looks like Ape Escape.
So part of it is also like KOF's graphics aren't fully like the greatest here, so the not much uh not much like difference in terms of the amount of details, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Is there anything else you want to talk about in terms of modes?
No, it's pretty like just to recap, it's just very robust, both
Mm-hmm.
offline and online. So I think this is a really good step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's move on to the netcode because netcode is like really serious and it definitely deserves its own topic. But the
Hmm.
netcode for Kingdom Fighters 14 as of right now is definitely hit or miss. I made a video about it for experiences, but there have been some workarounds. But let's just start with the hit or miss part, and I'll just kind of catch people up who've missed out on it. But basically, me and Killey live like 10 minutes away from each other. We tried playing against each other, and the input delay and everything is fine. The game does not use rollback netcode, and the input delay is fine if everything is responsive and works. But the problem is we run into this issue where when I'm playing Killey, the game runs at a much lower frame rate, something around like 30. It kind of feels like it's underwater. And if someone's watching our match, it looks like it's lagging, but it actually isn't. It's really weird. But this is the thing, is that it doesn't exactly happen against everyone. Like Killey, you say you played a bunch of people, and it doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
And these people like live further away from you, so it's really strange. The only common thing that like we figured out so far is that everyone that is streaming seems to have this issue, but it definitely isn't like a connection issue because my internet's pretty good. So I don't know, it's really weird, and a lot of people have been having these kind of reports where sometimes they'll have underwater matches, sometimes they'll be fine. And in fact, when me and Killey have been playing for a couple hours, eventually we would like exit, we want to change our stage or something, right? And we play against each other again, and all of a sudden it's running smooth as butter, and it's perfect. It's like he's sitting right next to me, and that's great. It's just weird that it happens sometimes and sometimes it doesn't. And then on top of that, we've been having these weird desyncs. I'd say every like 2 hours or something, the game would just freeze and lock up, and we literally have to crash the game and then we open again. It hasn't happened lately, but it did happen on the first day when we were playing the game. And then and then I went to play against the Randys, and then we went into ranked, and I was playing against random people from the US. I played some people on the East Coast, where sometimes the connection would be absolute ass, but I'm pretty sure it's just the opponent I'm playing, his connection is ass. Because sometimes I play people on the East Coast, and it's perfect. And then same thing for the West Coast and people in my own country in Canada. So it's definitely hit or miss, but the important part is that it has the potential to be perfect, because when it does work, it works amazing. Absolutely amazing. I would say even better than Street Fighter V's netcode when it works. So that's great, right? Because it isn't like a rollback format, so it's not weird stuttering moments, right, when it does desync. Also, the loading times in the game are fucking fast, because the game looks like balls, right? Like the game,
Yeah.
the loading times in this game are really, really fast. And actually, we should talk about the graphics of the game after the netcode, actually. I forgot to write that down. But the loading times are really fast. You can get into matches out in and out fast, and you can set when you search for someone, it'll keep searching until you find an opponent, kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
Now,
the load times are so much better than SF5. Like I haven't played SF5 in a long time, and like I played it like maybe last week would be like the most recent. And then like since I haven't played in a few months, I'm just like, was the load times always this bad? And then you told me it got worse.
yeah, like the more they update Street Fighter 5, the longer the loading times get. It's really weird, man.
I couldn't believe it. I'm just like, man, this is versus mode, and why is it like taking forever to like actually get into the match? I just couldn't believe it. But
That's
yeah,
why people are begging for
just...
a rematch, dude. Begging for a rematch.
Oh man.
So back to the netcode. So there have been some workarounds that people have found to make it consistently work well, and one of them is party mode. When you play in party mode, the netcode seems to be fine unless you're playing against Sin, because his connection is balls. but when you're playing against somebody with a decent setup, right, who's not uploading like a maniac or something, the connection is perfect. It's like better than Street Fighter 5, I'd say, and it's great. So party mode is what everyone's doing right now, and party mode holds 12 players, 2 groups of 6. And another workaround that this worked for me, but it hasn't worked for me and Killey when we play against each other, is you join somebody else's lobby. It doesn't matter what the connection of the host is, and then you go to the bottom right on the series category and you play against each other, and that apparently fixed the underwater mode. A lot of people have reported this. So there's like 2 big workarounds right now. However, SNK has already immediately responded to these bugs on day 1, and they've already got the patch, and it just needs to be approved by Sony.
Well, now they released another update today saying now it's in review. So before it was like waiting on approval, now it's in review.
Okay, so I don't know exactly how long these processes take, but I figured it'd be at least a week, right?
Yeah.
So we're probably going to get something really, really soon. And of course, guys, once this patch comes out, I'll be doing another review of the netcode to make sure you guys know fully. Because netcode is just a really serious thing. And there's nothing more discouraging than like practicing and getting into a fighting game, and then netcode's ass, and you can't apply everything you learned. Like, that's what kills Street Fighter 4 for me, honestly. That's one of the biggest things. So yeah, throwing my router in the graveyard. And yeah, and like right now, guys, like I'm pretty I wouldn't say confident, but I'm pretty positive about the netcode right now. If they fix it, then things should be good, man. I'm pretty excited to see this new patch. I really hope they fix the bugs. And yeah, man, then it's the only thing you can complain about, and that is the price and the graphics, honestly. Which we'll be talking about soon. Anything else you want to talk about the netcode, Killey?
No, it's pretty much like there's the foundation for something really good there. Let's just hope the patch actually addresses it in free battle mode. I also heard online training mode has better, is more stable too
I can
than
imagine that, yeah.
free battle. So
hmm I can see that for sure. So to summarize, guys, party mode, free play mode, lobbies, robust settings within the lobbies, holds up to 12 players. Open mic, people are allowed to use mics during matches. There's like a cheering function. There's full chat. You can type what you want to say in the chat box. It's like perfect, man. Like,
oh, I forgot one other option. You can actually, from online mode, watch other people streaming the game. There's an option to view streams.
like, what do you mean, like Twitch streams? I'm confused.
Yeah, like people streaming KOF 14. So I haven't actually explored the option myself, but I know it's there.
I've seen the option. I didn't know what that was about.
But you can watch other people streaming.
Okay, so it's like a browser to watch a Twitch stream from the console within the game?
Something like that.
Okay.
I haven't, like I said, I haven't looked into the options myself, but there is an option for that.
Okay. All right. Moving on, let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that's basically the game looking like Ape Escape. The game looks like balls. I don't know what's up with that, because the game is like made by Tencent, or Tencent owns SNK, and Tencent's a very, very fucking wealthy company. They own League of Legends, so I don't know why they went through this route. Like we were talking about before, that they didn't want to reuse the sprites from Kingdom Fighters 13 because like it would still cost a lot of money because they still need to make new animations and things. I'm not sure. So you know, if you don't care too much about graphics, then you're good. But if you do care, then like yeah, it does look like a PS2 game for sure. But you know, the animations, that there are like a lot of cool, like all the level 3s where the characters look really cool and they're not too long and jarring, you know. So you know, it's not like everything looks like ass. I think the stages look
Like
great.
there's some really detailed portions in the graphics. Like if you look at K-Dash's glove, when they do close-ups and stuff like that, there's a lot of detail in those. Same with Nelson's glove. But it looks like there's like a lack of textures to apply to the character. The lighting looks off, like they didn't do much lighting. And so like there's issues with the graphics in terms of like it doesn't look next gen.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's the main issue.
It's one of the main
Obviously,
issues.
it kind of bothers people because it's like, man, this looks kind of outdated graphically. And I'll agree with that. It does look outdated graphically.
No, you can't deny it. There's no fucking way you can defend that.
There's no way, yeah. There's no way you can deny it. We can all like understand, like, yeah, cost-wise, it is more expensive to do sprites. Like the way they did the sprites in KOF 13 is they created the 3D model first, and then they drew over. Basically, they draw over the 3D model to create the sprite animations and stuff like that. That reduces the time to create sprites, but it still takes a long time to create one character. Like I think I recall reading, it's like 6 months to do one character with this method. So not only is your development time really long for doing character sprites, but also the cost, so it goes up and stuff like that. So 3D made the most sense. It's just very surprising that their 3D modeling is so outdated, for the lack of a better word.
Especially since Tencent is the company behind this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like considering how big they are, it's like you think SNK would be able to do a better job with the 3D one. But to be fair, SNK's never, like prior to 12 and 13, SNK sprites were never like the greatest. If you look at the really old, like older KOF games, and compare them to like what Capcom was releasing at the time, or Street Fighter 2 and all its iterations, like SNK sprites were always like behind the ball. They were never like super great. They were kind of the animations and stuff like that kind of looked
Well, I
awkward as
felt
well.
like the animation, like the what the characters are doing during the supers and all that was a lot cooler than Street Fighter, to be honest. In terms of like supers and things like that are great, the art style. But yes, it was very pixelated and stuff. That is a good point. That, you know, Kin Fighters before was never really known for that. So yeah, graphics would definitely be like a down point of the game, but it does have its benefits, and one of them, like I said, is the loading times are fucking fast in this game. It
Yeah.
loads up really quick, really
But like
responsive.
ultimately, yeah, you do part of a fighting game experience is the visuals, but like a good portion of a fighting game experience is the gameplay. So if you're truly like a fan of fighting games and you're like really into just like the mechanics and like just how a game plays, you should be able to quickly overlook the graphics of King of Fighters and be able to like enjoy the game.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure, man. Like if for me, like graphics are not that high up when it comes to fighting games, but
They're part of the experience, and it definitely adds a whole lot when the game looks beautiful. Like Guilty Gear, oh,
yeah.
it looks beautiful. Guilty Gear is absolutely gorgeous, right?
Hmm.
And it really adds a lot to like it adds to the experience. I don't say it adds a lot, but it adds to the experience. And like
Yeah.
if it runs smooth, looks beautiful. Like you have all these additional lighting, different animations and stuff like that. It gives your characters personality. It also enhances like the overall gameplay experience. So I won't deny that graphics do play an important part in a fighting game, but it's not the only part to a fighting game.
How many characters are there in
So
KOF 13?
13? I don't know. Probably close to 50 as well. I honestly don't know off the top of my head, but there is
Yeah.
a lot of characters.
Another thing too is that like one of the benefits too is that like the stages look good in the game, but they're not crazy. Like they don't put a heavy load in the game. So like usually when you play other fighting games, even Guilty Gear, there are some stages you want to avoid that slow down your online match. And it seems like you can pick any stage in KOF 14 because the
Hmm.
game just doesn't it's not crazy in the graphics department. So okay, so do you want to move on to gameplay now?
Sure.
Okay. How are we gonna start this off? Well, first, let me say, guys, that one of the biggest reasons why I really like KOF 14, like this, really surprised me how much I like this game. One of the biggest things is how easy the game is. The game is very, very easy to get into, especially compared to King of Fighters 13. Um, how do you want to do this? You want to compare different systems? Do you want to talk about the King of Fighters 13, like the max system in that, and what?
Well, let's first like let's start it this way. You are a beginner to KOF. Like
Okay,
you didn't play 13 that much.
I did the
Um,
trials. That's it.
yeah, you did the trials and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you being new to the series in general, what do you find uh, is easy? Like when you're learning KOF right now,
Hmm.
what makes you feel like it's so easy to learn?
The combo system is very, very straightforward. It's almost universal for every character.
So is it like the combo theory or is it the combo execution?
The theory and the execution. The execution part, because I've been playing fighting games for a long time. Some people might have problems with that because there's no input leniency in KOF 14, at least that I know of. So if you want to do a core circle forward or an uppercut motion, it must be a good motion. and
Hmm.
and there are some cancel windows where you have to do a super into a super, that kind of thing. Some people might have problems with that if they have problems doing the exact inputs. But in terms of the combo theory, it's really, really simple and straightforward. And when I'm learning a new character, I can learn a character. You can really learn this character at a basic level, a level to play at in like a half an hour tops, like really,
Yeah.
really fast. And because of that, it allows me to focus on the game itself, the mechanics itself, rather than the very cumbersome feeling of like learning so much stuff with your character at the beginning. Like Guilty Gear, for example, is just so overwhelming to me. If I want to learn like Jacko, for example, I'm going through her move list, and it's just like my brain is exploding. And then you want to learn a combo, and then you have to learn your combos, transition to air combos, your Roman cancels, your blue Roman cancels. Like it's just like it's so much to process to even get started. And some combos don't even work on certain characters. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
just like this is
Like
just
a lot of character
yeah,
specific
like I can't
combos.
even begin to play the game until I like it's just like the order of things. Maybe it's an OCD of mine, but I can't even begin to play unless I feel like I'm confident with my character and the knowledge of that. But King of Fighters,
Hmm.
you can just you look through your character's moves. They usually have one command normal. and then you already know your combo system, what cancels the what super cancels the what, and then boom, you're good to go, and then you could play KOF with this character, and it's awesome. Like you can just get into it so fucking fast, you know?
Okay, so how about the flow of the game?
Mm.
Like you coming from other fighting games, like you used to play a lot of Marvel 2, you used to play, I mean, you still play Street Fighter,
Yeah.
but like you, if you're a fighting game background coming into KOF, since you've never played any of them competitively before, or not necessarily, like you never really spent a lot of time with them.
Yeah.
Now that you're spending more time with KOF 14, um, how does that feel to you?
Well, like it feels good. Now there are some things that it's hard for me to do in KOF, and the biggest thing is the hops. You know, I think
Hmm.
that's going to be the first challenge for anybody who's getting into this game is learning to hop. You got to hop a lot, man. It's a big part of the game. It's a very it's more aggressive focused game. Is the hops because it just allows you to get it on your opponent and have them very little time to react for an anti-air. But there is ways to stop the hops for sure. There's a super jump and there's a super hop. So there's four like jumps basically: jump, hop, and then super jump, super hop. And these allow you to like close the gap really fast and come at your opponent at many different angles. Now the biggest differences from Street Fighter V as one is there's not too many like fully invincible reverse or anti-airs in this game. A lot of the anti-airs are like normals or preemptive, like you stick it out when you anticipate your opponent jumping in at you. And of course, doing anti-airs in general is a little bit tougher, like stronger anti-airs, because the hops are so quick. You know, it's hard to uppercut a hop, for example, because it's really fast, right? Makes the game very
Hmm.
aggressive. And then cross-ups are not too crazy in this game. Most of the time, you come in at your opponent from the front with highs, lows, throws, that kind of thing. Empty lows, right? Or hop into hop, that kind of stuff. A lot of
Hmm.
frontal offense. So that's really different from Street Fighter V as well, where in Street Fighter V you're coming at your opponent from both angles. You know, that's not to say there isn't cross-ups in King of Fighters, especially when you're crouching. You're very prone to getting mixed up with cross-ups. It's a lot easier to cross your opponent when he's crouching. You can cross him up with a small hop in the cross-up, for example. So
Hmm.
I like it. It's still very Street Fighter-ish. You know, like there's still footsies and that neutral game is still there. It's just it's turned up a notch with the hops, for example.
Hmm.
You can still zone. You can still
Well,
zone
you have
for
a
sure.
run as well instead
And
of
then
like
yeah, you
dash,
gotta
right?
run. You know, every character has a run. Not every run is the same speed. That's not doesn't mean exactly that the grappling characters are fucking crazy. You know what I mean? They still have slow runs and slow jumps, but their options are there. You have a roll as well, so there's a universal mechanic for everyone to get through fireballs by rolling forward. The rolls look really slow in this game. I don't know if it's different in other KOFs, but there's a lot of fucking recovery on the rolls for sure. I wouldn't use
Yeah.
it as like an offensive option, for example, just to get around things, especially when you're dodging supers or something from chip damage. But in terms of someone playing Street Fighter, if your question is, if I play Street Fighter, can I get into KOF? And easily, you easily can, definitely,
I feel like this is
easily get
the
into this game.
easiest time to learn
Oh
KOF
hell yeah,
in
man!
the franchise history.
Yeah, man. It's the game is so fucking easy. There's also an auto combo system too, where when you mash A, which is like the equivalent of light punch, if you just keep mashing it, it does a super. You can even cancel that super into super. There are some people that use them, and the auto combo it does is exclusive. Has an exclusive move set, so that your character will do certain moves that you otherwise couldn't do in the auto combo, and it's a great way to get started. And I see a lot of people using it. It's not there's no real punishment for using it in terms of
Yeah,
damage or something like that, but I don't really see it being that big of an issue um, because the combos are so easy to do in the first place that it doesn't really matter.
yeah.
But
So in other fighting games that had auto combos, like say Under Night in Birth or Persona, there was some forced scaling on the auto combo. So they did significantly less damage and were just sort of like I wouldn't say crutch, more like training wheels
okay,
for someone getting into the game. But in KOF, they actually didn't put any, as far as I know, there's no scaling on the auto combos. They actually do decent damage.
hmm
I wouldn't say like great damage, but it does decent damage enough. So it's more of like, okay, if you're getting into KOF and you don't, and you're trying to just play, and you don't know any combos, the auto combo is a good start. But usually like that stand A kind of whiffs on crouching characters. So if you're like kind of over mashing it at certain ranges, yeah, can't do that. You gotta learn like eventually you'll need to transition to real combos afterwards. The only problem I have with auto combos is that it screws up my double tapping, because if I double tap stand A to like to anti-air or something like that, sometimes it can like come out by accident, like the first two hits of the auto combo.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
That's like my only issue with it.
Another thing too, guys. Even though I said there's no input leniency, the inputs in themselves are for the most part pretty easy. For example, there's no like pretzel motion super inputs. And there's a lot of half circles, double half circles for your level 3s and things like that, but nothing absolutely insane. So there's that too.
I think that for people coming into Street Fighter, they might find the super motions a little bit awkward, because there are some quarter circle back, they're mostly like quarter circle back, half circle forward, or
I love that
forward,
motion
half
though.
circle back.
It feels
Stuff
so
like that, like the classic SNK motions.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think some people coming from SF might struggle with that initially, because it is kind of a little bit awkward at first, but you get used to it. And you still have like the SF, or just like typical 2D shortcut, where if you do a special, like say the super is quarter circle forward, half circle back, and you want to super cancel from a special, and the special is quarter circle forward, half of your input is already in there, so then all you need to do is go half circle back afterwards, and then you have your super cancel.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about like what made KOF 13 hard? Like what differences there are? Like the big thing like I want to talk about is like KOF 13 had the custom combos, and that's what made the game so damn hard.
Yeah, so KOF 13 had an HD, what they called an HD meter for a specific like that custom combo. And what this mode did was that it allowed you to cancel special moves into other special moves. Midway through the special.
Yeah.
And so you have kind of like these loops going on between like this special to this special and so forth. What made it difficult was that it's a lot of repetitive motions, right? And sometimes you had like overlap inputs and stuff like that, and you maybe get accidental specials coming out.
Yeah, like for example, let's say you had to cancel a fireball into an uppercut, and then you'd accidentally get a super because it's overlapping the inputs. There's a lot of situations like that, and there's some weird things in the game, like instead of doing the uppercut with forward, down, down, forward punch, you would do half circle back, forward punch, and that'd be like the shortcut to not do an input overlap. There's a lot of weird shit like that. And imagine doing this with custom combos for your characters. And just look at my trials, man. Look at the Kingdom Hearts 13 trials, dude.
You had these weird rules happening. Like we call those like long cuts, when you actually have to do a longer motion than the actual motion. So you have these long cut motions to avoid overlaps. But then when you activated HD mode, you didn't get that problem. Like let's take K-Dash for example. One of K-Dash's drive cancel combo. So part of KOF 13's combo system was that you had a separate gauge from your super bar, which is your HD bar, and that was broken up into two stocks or two sections. So you could, at the cost of half your HD meter, you can cancel one special move to another special move, and they call that a drive cancel. So K-Dash had a combo in the corner where he could cancel his DP into a fireball. But if you tried to do that, you would always get a super unless your DP was like, unless your motions were like perfect, like precise, right? Super precise. So instead you had to do this long cut motion of like half circle back forward to kind of like prevent that from happening. But if you activated HD mode, where you get into the custom combo mode, that never happened. That problem of getting that super overlap never happened. This is just really weird. It's like this arbitrary like
Mm-hmm.
rule that happened.
Mm-hmm.
This is just weird. So part of that, there was like a lot of things like that weren't readily told to you in the game that
Yeah.
made like learning KOF's combo system harder. Not only that, the execution requirements in KOF 13 was a lot harder.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple execution tricks like a button hold technique where if you do the special and you push the button, push and then hold the button, your special comes out on the first available frame that it can. So there's some things to help there, but your motion still had to be like really precise, and
Mm-hmm.
I think people struggled with the fact that your motions had to be precise.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what else was difficult about KOF 13? Just anti-airs were a lot harder.
Mm-hmm.
Hops were like faster, and anti-air normals weren't as good, so it was a little bit like skewed offense
Like the
here and
big
there.
thing was the
But
custom combos because it was a really important part of getting damage in that game. And if someone like really knew their custom combos, they would have an overwhelming advantage on you.
yeah, some of those
Overwhelming.
custom combos would be an instant kill. Some characters had 100%, some had like 80%, whatever, depending
Yeah.
on the meter, stuff like that. They did a lot of damage,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing those combos were really important, and they easily turned the tide.
Mm-hmm. Kill, do you mind if I explain like a quick rundown of the mechanics of KOF 14, like the engine?
Sure.
Okay, so there's EX moves in this game for your specials, but you cannot do your EX moves unless you're in max mode, where you activate and suddenly you're in max mode. Then you have access to your EX moves. So in KOF 13, you could just do your EX moves whenever, right?
Yeah.
And you said that caused some balancing issues.
Yeah, like EX moves, there's a big imbalance of EX moves, but that happens with any games with
Yeah,
EX moves.
yeah.
And I felt like KOF 13 had way too many invincible reversals
Okay.
going into it as a result of EX moves. Like some had it without EX moves, some only had it with EX moves, but there was a great like number of invincible reversals in the game,
Mm-hmm.
or reversals that had armor or something like that with EX moves. So there's some balancing issues there. Um, it's not like Invincibles were really good in KOF 13, but you had to be really aware of them,
Mm-hmm.
both in neutral and in on the offensive, right? So there are some issues there from a balancing perspective.
Mm-hmm.
13, no, sorry, 14. There's not as many invincible reversals from my experiences so far.
Making it really aggressive too. So
Yeah.
it's cool.
But I think because of like the gameplay changes in 14, it's not as overwhelmingly aggressive as it was in 13. Like 13 had some really huge offense. 14, there's you can react more in 14 just
Okay.
because of like jump arcs are a little bit higher or slower and stuff like that. Like I find it way easier to anti-air in 14 than in 13.
Okay. Okay. That's cool. In terms of the supers, guys, there's your level 1 super. You have an EX version of your super, the level 2, and you have a level 3 version. Not of a super, but
Not a
every
level
character has
3
a.
version, but you had a level 3 super that's
Yeah,
separate
everyone's got a
from your
level
other.
3 super. And the way it works is when you're not in max mode, you can go level 1 into a level 2 for 3 meters total. Or you can go a level 1 into a level 3. And can you do a level 2 into level 3?
Yes.
Because that'd be all 5 of your meter
Yeah.
gone.
Because remember, Geese can go level 2 counter super into level 3 Raging Storm.
Is that instant death?
No, it does 80% though.
Oh, okay. Okay. And then you have your max mode. And then when you activate your max mode, it allows you to do EX specials. And you have a timer, kind of like a V gauge timer that drains. And when you do your EX moves, it costs your timer, not your super meter, to do the EX moves, which is interesting. And then if you combo, you can combo into your max mode, and when you combo into your max mode, you start off at half of your timer because you're basically taking advantage of hit confirming into it, which you can combo. Then you could do your special moves. A lot of the EX special moves put your opponent into a juggle state or into a state where you can keep continuing the combo, and that's basically like I would say a baby version of custom combos in the game. Like they're not
Yeah.
insanely long like they were in 13, but there's a few moves you can combo to a few moves, and then when you do your super in max mode, it automatically does the level 2 version of your super at the cost of 1. Max mode costs 1 meter as well. So you
And
basically
even your level 3 super in max mode costs one less. So instead of 3 bars, it would take 2 bars.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
You should have told me that. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. But there's a weird bug in the game, and there's a bug that if you have I forgot how it went, but if you input with 2 buttons for your EX move, it'll accidentally drain 2 instead of 1 if you did it with 1 button. I don't know what the circumstance is, but there's definitely a bug about that going around, which is really weird. But when you activate max mode, since you can only do level 2 versions of your super, then you can't go like a level 2 into a level 2 super. It has to be a level 2 into a level 3 at that point. So there's that too. So you won't be seeing like insane damage combos. But there are some combos where the timer runs out by the end of the combo, like Love Heart for example, and then she can do a level 1 super into a level 2 that way. So there's a lot of weird stuff like that.
Even some characters they combo until their max mode runs out, and then they can actually like re-combo into another max mode activation.
What? That's so cool.
So like I know K-Dash in the corner, he has like combos where he can
of course
juggle them, and then he juggles like the next juggle hit. He can reactivate max mode and then continue the combo.
Oh, that's so sick! You have to show me that sometime.
So I think Banderas has something similar as well. Like he has like a full corner to corner if he decides to use 3 bars for it, right? Like highly high on resource, but yeah, it's just like there's a lot of flexibility in the combo system.
Yeah.
Like even though combo theory is pretty straightforward, there's still a lot of flexibility with the combos.
For sure, but the getting started, the groundwork is super easy, and that's what I like.
Yeah.
You know, you can learn the advanced stuff later. You don't need to know it, but just getting started and doing decent damage right off the hop is awesome. It's one of my favorite parts about the game. And you can't cancel max mode from a special, right? So we don't run into the uppercut FADC issue. So it's just normals into the max mode.
You definitely can't do it on block. I have to test if BC bypass still exists in the game, which is to not get too technical. In older KOFs and even in 13, if you entered like a special input with BNC, which is like the activation for max mode or HD mode or whatever, depending on what KOF version you're playing, it would do the special but also activate max mode simultaneously. So I have to double check if that's in KOF 14. And I don't know if it's in there, but yeah, there's some ways to kind of like bypass the system in that regards. But you can't do like a DP and cancel into max mode for safety. They just flat out don't let you do that in the first place.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's great. You gain a lot of meter in the game. You'll be using max mode like every time you play around, and you'll have a chance at it. So it's pretty cool,
you always have max mode once around, at least. Like meter gain is high, damage is high in this game, like a lot higher, for less input. You don't need to know like this long combo in 13 just to do equivalent damage.
Yeah, man. Anything else you want to talk about gameplay wise?
Well, another question for you. How do you feel about the neutral game in KOF 13 being new to it?
It's weird. At first, it didn't make sense to me, but now it makes sense. After you explain the whole paper, rock, scissors thing, it makes a lot more sense. Because I had a lot of troubles getting in, and I understand what to do, and like the hops are really important. Like a really important thing. Like I'm definitely gonna make a video about it for sure, especially about the meta thing.
So this is where I kind of want to talk about this. Like I feel personally, KOF 14, like Capcom when they made SF5, one of the things they talked about was that it's an easy game to learn, but master. And I don't necessarily believe that's true with SF5. Like,
why is that?
SF5, like I know they lowered the execution barrier and some of the barrier entries that SF4 had, but I don't feel like the game is as easy to learn as they make it out to be, because I feel like SF5 is so heavily reliant on frame data
Oh
that
fuck
like
yeah! And I was thinking that too while you were saying that. The Street Fighter Five is like one of the most frame data like intensive games that you need to know. Like David, David just picked up Street Fighter Five recently, hey? And the first thing he
mhm,
noticed is like you can't fucking press buttons in this game. Like you like when someone's like on you doing a block stream or something, you cannot press buttons because you don't know when it's your turn. You really don't know.
yeah.
And this is why Bison's got like the highest win rate online right now because he just smothers you and they don't know when it's your turn. It's so fucking important to know that. And that's where frame data comes in.
And that's why I don't feel like SF5 achieved what Capcom set out to do in terms of like easy to learn, difficult to master. I think it is somewhat more. It's more difficult to learn than they let on to. It is definitely easier than past Street Fighter games, but it's just like because it's so because of how the meta developed in SF5. I think it's still like harder to learn than what they initially set out to do.
Okay.
That's my opinion. But for me, like KOF 14, I think SNK actually achieved that easy to learn, difficult to master mindset better than than Capcom with SF5.
Wow. It's a pretty bold statement, Killer. I can't wait to see the
Just
comments.
because it's like really easy, like I really feel KOF 14 is super easy to learn, and like learning a character is also really easy. Uh, like the fundamental aspect of KOF just applies to like all the characters. Like once you understand um, the core concepts of KOF, you can apply that to every character and learn a character within like a half hour. And this is like not just KOF 14 perspective. Like when I played 13, I learned half the cast to KOF 13 because I could apply the fundamental concepts as I learned a character. And it was like really easy for me to learn characters in KOF 13.
Mm-hmm.
But like when I played SF4, like I couldn't learn that many characters in SF4. It's just too much. Like there's just a lot you had to kind of learn for a character in SF4. And like that's not necessarily true for everyone. Like some people they learned a lot of characters in SF4 and they kind of figured that a pattern to it.
Mm-hmm.
But like with the way the combo system worked in SF4, like there's a lot of research you have to do basically.
Like what made
And there's
what made Street Fighter
no go.
4 hard at the beginning for newer players is the FADC system because the inputs are tough and that's what made a lot of the trials difficult and the links were extremely one frame link heavy even for bread and butters being like for example Rufus standing light kick into standing hard punch for example. And then in Street Fighter 5 they made the inputs more lenient. There's still one frame links but there's a buffer window and they got rid of the FADC system. But then now we're running into very, very, I don't know how to word it, but they were very, like, they wanted the normals in Street Fighter 5 to all have their own use. So the tool sets were like, every normal has a very specific use in Street Fighter 5, so there's like a
Mhm.
lot of background knowledge you need in the neutral. So yeah, it is kind of weird to look at it that way. Street Fighter 5 being kind of harder to get into.
But like for me to kind of talk about like KOF being like that easy to learn, difficult to master, um, the difficulty I think in KOF's neutral game is just like understanding how it works because it is very different from SF. And like from my experiences of playing people online, there's a lot of players that you can tell are new to the series. Like they don't have a clue on how the game works. So maybe I might be wrong on like KOF is easy to learn from a neutral game perspective. Like from a combo perspective, it's very easy to learn. Same can be said for SF5. Um, but yeah, that neutral game, I just feel like the neutral, like just it just feels like meaties. Like for example, like you try to meaty someone in SF5, it's very hard to eyeball it, right?
Yeah.
Because the active frames of normals are very small. Like some normals are only like
Three
1 to
tops,
2
man.
frames.
Yeah, two to
Yeah,
three tops.
like 2 to 3 frame active. So getting a meaty timing by eyeballing it is very difficult, which makes like wake up jabs really effective.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you talk about like 3 different wake up timings, and there's no way you can get a meaty that covers all 3. And maybe that's probably by design intent because they didn't want kind of like a flow chart
Yeah.
going on in terms of like getting like a meaty that covers all 3.
Yeah.
But it was like it's just difficult for getting a meaty going in SF5. But in KOF, like there's a back tech, like a back roll for like your quick tech or no tech, and like no matter what the opponent does, it's very easy to just eyeball a meaty in that game. So like part of like pressure and stuff like that, I find is very easy to do, easy to learn. But then like I can see from the perspective of new players, like they might be completely lost on the neutral game because they don't know how it works, or even like on the defensive or pressure, like they don't know what to do. Like new players, they don't utilize the hops in KOF. You'll see a lot of normal jumps, or maybe not jumping at all, and it's like, yeah, you can tell that they're new to KOF when they're not utilizing all of the movement options within the game.
You
So,
said
no, go ahead.
you said that like it's very different than Street Fighter, but I don't want to give the false impression that if you play Street Fighter, it's hard to get into KOF, because like I really think it's easy for a Street Fighter player to get into KOF, but it is different. But
Like
I
the
feel
the
like
one
you can
thing
get right into it.
the one thing I feel like SF players will get used to with KOF, like in KOF 14, I feel like normals have less range than what they did in 13. And there's more recovery than 13. Not saying like normals have like a million frames of recovery. They don't. But I felt like in comparison to 13, there's a little bit more recovery to normals. So with punishing is a lot easier in 14 than it was in 13. And like pushback on block and stuff like that seems to be a little bit higher. So like spacing and stuff like that ground game spacing of footsies and with punishing and stuff like that, I think people who are used to Street Fighter will feel that part of the neutral game is the same. And then you start applying KOF mechanics to it, and it's like very rewarding to with punish in this game. Like in SF, you might get like a single hit or whatever like that, a single confirm or whatever. In KOF, if you have meter, a whiff punish could turn into a max mode combo. So like it's very rewarding to properly like whiff punish and anti-air your opponents.
Anything else you want to talk about gameplay wise?
Um, like KOF 14. If you played the previous KOFs and you're wondering like how does 14 differ, 14 carries the same KOF core fundamentals. So from that aspect, like that's still the same. It still plays like a KOF game. It's just like the only major difference I could say is that I feel like hops hops and jumps in general feel like they're a little bit slower or a little bit floatier. So and anti-air buttons are better. So it's a lot easier to anti-air in this game than 13. And it's a lot easier to spot when you can do not trip guard, that's not the right word. Crouch B anti-airs. And like to briefly go over some of like KOF's meta, there is no trip guard in the game. So if someone like overshoots their jump or they do a jumping normal early and the active frames are over, you can actually punish them on their landing recovery. And in 13, it was kind of a little bit harder to spot it. Sometimes you have to kind of be, you kind of read that they're gonna kind of mess up their timing, or read that they're gonna try to air you, and then just believe in the fact that you're gonna be able to anti-air them with like a low crouching normal. In 14, I feel it's like a lot easier to like spot those situations. I'm trying to think what else is primarily different. I feel like the game is more neutral heavy than 13.
Okay.
So people who had really good KOF fundamentals in general are excelling at this game right now. If you watch like Wednesday night fights, there are certain players that they were strong in 13, but not as strong as some of the top players. They're doing really well in 14 just because they had a really strong fundamental base in KOF in general.
Okay.
So it kind of like caters to people that were more that were more strong in fundamentals, but don't necessarily have they didn't necessarily have the higher execution to kind of deal with KOF 13's like HD combo system.
I want to watch the Wednesday night fights, and like I want to see what people are coming up with right now. I want to check that out
Yeah,
because it's
so
going on
like
right
with the
now,
meta
isn't it?
developing, yeah.
Yeah. I want to see what's going down.
So
Anything else, Kelly?
so no, that's pretty much it for in terms of like the major differences between 13 and 14 from my perspective.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now let's talk about like the final part of the podcast, and
Hmm.
that's pretty much our verdict. And we'll go over the pros and cons of the game for people who are on the fence from purchasing this. So let's just talk about the pros, I guess. The pros of the game is that it's got a very, very easy to get into. The inputs are easy. There's no input leniency, but the inputs themselves are pretty easy. The combo system is extremely straightforward and streamlined across the entire cast of characters, which I'll be making a video about, guys, going over the combo formula. And it's got a lot of robust modes right out of the box. A huge variety of characters, 50. Two that you have to unlock by beating story mode once, and they're the two boss characters. And pretty much everything you expect, online training, party. Like I said, the online mode is robust. It's really well. It's really good because like the open mic, the free chat, and fast loading times, all that stuff is great. Is there anything else I'm missing, Killy, before I start talking about the cons here?
No, it's a very like basically it is a very complete game out of the box.
Mm-hmm. And the netcode can be great, and if that patch that's coming out really soon fixes the netcode, then like it's yeah, the netcode is perfect at that point. Now, in terms of cons about the game, definitely one of the cons is the graphics. The game doesn't look very next gen at all. Um, if like graphics are like a big thing to you, then that would be an issue. The second issue would definitely be the popularity of the game, since the game is right now a PS4 exclusive. I don't know if they'll be making a PC version. It definitely won't be coming for the Xbox. Um, but popularity is definitely an issue because like in fighting games, they're already a niche, and people want the game to thrive and have people playing. But that's why me and Killy are talking about the game. We're trying get exposure, let people know that it's great, and have a big community on it. But it's definitely something that you should know. It's not as popular as Street Fighter is. It's not cross-platform play. So that's something that you have to consider. And then another con, and I think this is one of the biggest cons, is actually the price of the game. It's very expensive. I think for me in Canada, it's 80 bones, which is I think is ludicrous to charge this much for it. Definitely one of the
But isn't
biggest
that the
cons of
same
the
with
game.
SF5 though? Wasn't it 80 when it came out as well for
I don't
us?
remember. I don't remember. Maybe 70. I'm not sure. They were both pretty high. But
They were really
if we
high.
combine like the cons together, like the graphics and like the
Hmm.
popularity of being exclusive and then the price together, it's a very fishy price to charge, I would say. I think it's overpriced for sure in that aspect. And so um that those are the cons of the game. Kelly, you want to give your final verdict of like what you think of the game and if people should buy it, and then I'll give mine.
I think the game has actually ended up really well done. Um, they addressed a lot of my concerns with the demo. Like in the demo, I felt runs and hops were unresponsive. Like either there was like delay or more startup to them. But in the final product, they actually fixed that.
Mm-hmm.
So the game ran as smooth as I expected it of a KOF game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it being very robust is a plus.
Mm-hmm.
Like being very complete out of the box is a big deal. um, ex- especially with the controversy of SF5's launch.
Mm-hmm.
I think from a consumer perspective, KOF being a very complete game out of the box is huge. I think that's really important. Gameplay is very solid. Uh, right now, it's the netcode is definitely going to be the determining factor for people who want to buy the game.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, it's probably kind of like wait and see what happens after the patch.
Definitely. So if the patch does fix the netcode, would you recommend this game to somebody?
Without a doubt, it's
Without a doubt?
It's definitely worth it. Especially if you don't have a local scene that supports the game. If online play is like one of your primary factors here, then yeah, if the patch fixes the online, then it's totally worth it. Then like the online's actually better than SF5.
Would you recommend this game to somebody who already has Street Fighter 5?
Yeah, because there's nothing wrong with learning multiple fighters.
Okay.
Like play what you want to play in the end, but like don't be afraid to try other fighting games. Stuff you learn from other fighting games can be applied to other fighting games as well. So like what you learn in KOF or Guilty Gear or Killer Instinct or whatever, there are aspects that you can apply to Street Fighter if that's your main game.
Mm-hmm.
I've done it, like stuff that I learned when I was playing 13. A lot of the fundamentals I've learned in 13, I applied it to my Street Fighter game.
Mm-hmm. That's cool, man. Me as primarily a Street Fighter player coming into KOF, I do recommend this game. It's a lot of fun. The biggest thing I like about this game is that it's really easy to get into and the extremely easy combo system, and it's very, very easy to learn a character. Well, most of the characters. There are some complex characters for sure. There's something for everybody. If they fix the netcode, then that's awesome. I'm going to be playing party mode all the time, for sure. And I do recommend this game. And if someone already has Street Fighter 5, I still recommend it, just like you said, Killey. And if the only thing I can think of that would hold back recommending it maybe is if the price is steep. If the price is really steep for you, then I would maybe wait and then watch my stream, watch people play, and judge it for yourself to see what the game has. And I'll be releasing more King of Fighters 14 videos in the future, showing off the system mechanics and the meta and things like that. So you'll definitely know what you're getting yourself into. And isn't there a demo, Killey, that you can download?
Yep, there's a demo on PSN.
There's a demo, guys. Like, take advantage of that and download it and play it yourself. Judge it for yourself, man. For sure.
So the only thing with the demo is that like hops and runs kind of feel awkward. They're not the same.
They still didn't fix it?
I don't think so. I didn't try the demo after the game came out, right?
Yeah.
So that'd be the only thing that's a little bit off of the demo. But you can get a sort of like a general feel of how the game plays through the demo, especially if you're just looking to kind of quickly test it.
And yeah, guys, remember there's a lot of people that are ass at this game right now, so it's a good time to hop in because we're all learning together. So it's really funny.
Everyone's learning. DreamCancel.com is probably going to be your best learning resource for a community for King of Fighters 14. So be sure to check that out. Yeah,
for sure, man. But like I said, I figured out a lot of the combos for most of the characters myself by just following the simple formula, So that's good too. But yeah, YouTube is also a really good resource right now too, as well.
Yep. Twitter and YouTube are going to be your another resource that you can use. There's a lot of tech being posted right now. A lot of different combo videos. Alioun is actually posting a lot of combo videos for 14.
That's cool.
So he's got some very optimized combos with like Geese, Luong, who else? Can't remember. Something. But yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about, Killey, before I close this up?
Do you want to open it for Q&A?
Well, I was going to close that up with that, but
okay.
Talking about the Q&A. But yeah.
Sure.
All right, guys, so I'm like really hungry, so I need to close this up. But we want to make like a Q&A section of our podcast now, guys. I think that'd be really, really good. So for now on, if you guys have any questions, like I should honestly make like an email address for this or something to organize it. But if there's any questions you guys want to ask us in future podcasts, let us know in the comments below, and then I will literally just quote mine your ass and answer your question. But I'll get like an email, make it more professional, so we can answer bigger questions, because I'm sure people are gonna ask some big questions. This could be like just fighting game related in general. It doesn't have to be KOF, doesn't have to be Street Fighter. It could be something about Guilty Gear if you have a question for Killey. Any kind of question for sure. We'll definitely answer it on the podcast. And
within
yeah,
reason.
within reason, of course. And yeah, man. If you guys have any ideas for any things that you guys want us to cover for future podcasts as well, for other fighting games such as Street Fighter V, let us know too, because we're running out of ideas to talk about for podcasts. We really are. And yeah, guys, that's pretty much it, man. Thanks for taking the time to listen to this, guys. Check out KOF 14. The game's fucking awesome. And we'll see you guys next podcast. Peace out.